Good morning, class 9. Today we will conclude the chapter What is Democracy, Why Democracy, and we will revise one more chapter, Constitutional Design. But before I start with that, let me quickly tell you that since your exams are approaching, so you must do a detailed reading of all the lessons. As you have been told already, that multiple choice questions will be the pattern of the question paper. For multiple choice questions, children, you don't have to learn the lengthy answers, you don't have to learn the short answers also, and even the very short. Please don't waste your time at all in learning such type of answers. These you will need later on when you will have descriptive exams. But for MCQ, multiple choice questions, what you need to do is read the chapter very thoroughly. Whatever you have underlined, whatever you have not underlined, everything is equally important. Please do not ignore even the minutest detail in the lesson, because in multiple choice questions there is one advantage also, that you score full marks if your answer is correct, but the disadvantage is that there is no scope of half mark. If your answer is wrong, it is wrong, 0. So in order to score well, you need not learn the lengthy answers or the short answer type. Please don't waste your time. Read the chapters more than once, and that too very carefully, very thoroughly, because any line can be picked up from the lesson to frame the question. You will have 4 choices in front of you and you will have to click on the correct choice. Okay, so don't focus on learning lengthy things, only focus on detailed and thorough reading of the lesson. In my PDF, you will see some practice questions are there. Please see the questions. I have marked the answers also, because that will help you to know how the MCQ questions are given in the question paper. Okay, go through the practice questions, try to remember them, because they are from the detailed parts of the chapter, they are from your lesson. So in some way or the other, you are preparing for your test, for your exam. That is why do the practice questions also. It will help you, it will give you a practice, and very thoroughly read all the chapters, whether it is history or civics. Now let us conclude today's chapter, What is Democracy, Why Democracy. We have to start broader meaning of democracy. In this chapter, we have considered the meaning of democracy in a limited and descriptive sense. We have understood democracy as a form of government. This way of defining democracy helps us to identify a clear set of minimal features that a democracy must have. The most common form of democracy takes in our times is that of a representative democracy. You have already read about this in the previous classes. In countries we call democracies, all people do not rule. A majority is allowed to take decisions on behalf of the people. Even the majority does not rule directly. The majority of people rule through their elected representatives. Underline this line. Now, I am giving you one example. What kind of a question can be asked in multiple choice? Like you take this line only. The majority of people rule through elected representatives. So a question can be framed like this. In a democracy, the majority of people rule through their option 1, elected representatives, option 2, through a monarchy, option 3, through the people, option 4, none of these. So your option is first option, A option, that is elected representatives. So this way very simple questions are asked in MCQ, but They will appear to be simple if you know the chapter in detail. Otherwise, you will keep on thinking and you might do some guesswork also, which might go wrong. So, please don't go for any guesses. Prepare the chapters properly. This become necessary because modern democracies involve such a large number of people for them to sit together and to take collective decisions. That means they are telling that why elected representatives are important, why all the people can't rule. The reason is modern democracies involve such a large number of people that it is physically not possible for them to sit together and take collective decisions. All people in the country can't sit together and take decisions at the same time. So there are elected representatives who represent the countrymen, who represent the people. Even if they could, the citizen does not have the time, the desire or the skills to take part in all decisions. Second reason they are giving is, even if all people can sit together, suppose we can sit together, all the citizens, but they don't have, everybody need not, maybe does not have so much of time or the desire to sit, all are not equally interested, or the skill to take part. Everybody is not so efficient and skilled. So that is why elected representatives are there in the country. They represent the whole population of the country and they rule the country. This gives us a clear but minimal understanding of democracy. This clarity helps us to distinguish democracies from non-democracies. But it does not allow us to distinguish between a democracy and a good democracy. It does not allow us to see the operation of democracy beyond government. For this, we need to turn to broader meaning of democracy. Sometimes we use democracy for organizations other than the government. Just read these statements. We are a very democratic family. Whenever a decision has to be taken, we all sit down and arrive at a consensus. My opinion matters as much as my father's. So, it is not always seen that a country is a democratic country. Even families can be democratic. Now, let us come to the next paragraph. These ways of using the word democracy go back to its basic sense. A democratic decision involves consultation with and consent of all those who are affected by that decision. This is a very important feature of democracy, that everybody's consent is taken, everybody's viewpoint is taken into consideration. It is not that only 2 or 3 people will discuss matters and decide the matter and the rule will become like a dictatorship. No. In a democracy, everybody's opinion is respected, everybody is consulted, they are free to express their views. Those who are not powerful have the same way in taking the decision as those who are powerful. This can apply to a government or a family or any other organization. Thus, democracy is also a principle that can be applied to any sphere of life. As just we read the example of a family. If a family has 4 members and all members are equally participating in decision making, their viewpoint is equally respected, they can speak out their views openly, that means that family is a democratic family. Now come to the next column. In the next column, children, the lines which are important, I am reading only those lines, come to the center of the paragraph. At this stage, we just need to note that democracy can apply to many spheres of life and that democracy can take many forms. It is that one and the same thing. The most common form of democracy in today's world is rule through people's elected representatives. This we have studied several times. Now come to the next page. I am starting from the next page, first para. This also means that no country is a perfect democracy. That means there are some flaws, there are some weaknesses also. The features of democracy that we discussed in this chapter provide only the minimum conditions of a democracy. That does not make it an ideal democracy. Every democracy has to try to realize the ideals of a democratic decision making. This cannot be achieved once and for all. This requires a constant effort to save and strengthen democratic forms of decision making. What we do as citizens can make a difference to making our country more or less democratic. This is the strength and the weakness of democracy. Now, underline what is the strength and the weakness of democracy. The fate of the country depends not just on what the rulers do, but mainly on what we, the citizens, do. Citizens are also active participants in a democracy, and whatever we do greatly affects the progress in a democratic country. This is what distinguished democracy from other governments. Other forms of government like monarchy, dictatorship, or one-party rule do not require all citizens to take part in politics. In fact, most non-democratic governments would like citizens not to take part in politics. But democracy depends on active political participation by all the citizens. That is why democracy is a very successful form of government, because it is the people's government. The people elect their representatives, they bring the people to power, and it is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So, with this, the chapter comes to an end. Remember what I said? Read the chapters very thoroughly, more than once. Underline all those lines which you think can be asked in multiple choice questions. When you will read the chapter thoroughly, you will come across many such important things which can be easily asked in a multiple choice question. So, keep underlining them, keep learning them so that you score well. Now let us come to another very important chapter, that is constitutional design. In this, as far as the new syllabus is concerned, children, in the constitutional design chapter, the South Africa part has been cut. The South Africa part has been deleted. So we will not waste our time at all on focusing about the democratic constitution in South Africa. Let us come to the part of India. On page number 43, why do we need a constitution? Come to the next page. Why do we need a constitution? You will see on page number 44, many important things are written on the right side. Constitution of a country is a set of written rules that are accepted by all people living together in a country. Constitution is the supreme law that determines the relationship among people living in a territory, and also the relationship between the people and the government. So, only objective type questions, that is questions fit for MCQ, should be prepared in this chapter also. I am repeating again. What is constitution? Constitution of a country is a set of written rules. Underline if you have not yet underlined. That are accepted by all the people living together in a country. All people accept those written rules, and the country is run accordingly. Those set of rules are abided by everybody. A constitution does many things. It generates the degree of trust and coordination. Second, it specifies how the government will be constituted. Third, it lays down limits on the powers of the government and tells us what the rights of citizens are. And it expresses the aspirations of people about creating a good society. So these are the important things that a constitution of a country does. Now come to the next page, making of the Indian Constitution. In this, in the first column, second paragraph, see the last few lines. When the constitution was being written, the future of the country did not look as secure as it is today. The makers of the constitution had anxieties about the present and the future of the country. Just read the remaining lines. You know, children, why I am not reading each and every line of the chapter today? Because all these chapters have been taught to you in detail previously. I have also taught a major part of this chapter to you earlier. Each and every line was explained, each and every heading was explained. So today we are just brushing up the chapter. We are only revising, and I am taking up those things which are extremely important. But this does not mean at all that you will study only what I am reading today. Please don't make this mistake. You have to read the whole chapter in detail and prepare for MCQ. Now come to the next heading, the path to constitution. In this, you have to remember some very important things. Like, for example, unlike South Africa, they did not have to create a consensus about what a democratic India should look like. As far back as in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted a constitution for India. In 1931, the resolution at Karachi session of the Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. Now, such type of years can also be asked in multiple choice. That a resolution at the Karachi session took place in 1931, 1932, 1933 or 1934. Now you have to click at the correct option. Then come to the next paragraph. The British rule had given voting rights only to a few. On that basis, the British had introduced weak legislatures. Elections were held in 1937 to provincial legislatures and ministries all over British India. On this page, there is very little for you to learn. Come to the next page. That is why the Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from colonial laws like the Government of India Act 1935. Then many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the US. The socialist revolution in Russia and inspired many Indians to think of shaping the system based on social and economic equality. Now, a very, very important heading starts, that is Constituent Assembly. The drafting of the document called the Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. Such type of questions can also be framed in the multiple choice. Elections to the Constituent Assembly were held in July 1946. All these things I have made you mark earlier. You must remember these years. These events are very important. Now, the next very, very important thing in this paragraph. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. Very, very important line, children. As I just told you when I started the heading Constituent Assembly, whatever information you are getting regarding the Constituent Assembly, whether it is the number of members, whether it is the chairman, etc., whatever information you are getting, every detail is very, very important. So go through everything very carefully. If you have not underlined, underline this and learn. The Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26th November 1949 and it came into force on 26th January 1950. I had told you earlier also when I had taught this. This is very important. Underline and learn. Then the next paragraph. I am coming to the last paragraph now. The second reason for accepting the Constitution is that the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. there was no universal adult franchise at that time. So the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people of India. It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislatures. Then this ensured a fair geographical share of members from all the regions of the country. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. Now I am coming to the last paragraph of the same column. Finally, the manner in which the Constituent Assembly worked gives sanctity to the Constitution. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open, and consensual manner. Everybody's consensus or viewpoint was taken into consideration. Then a drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, underlined, very, very important. Who was the chairman of the drafting committee? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of discussion took place on the draft constitution, clause by clause. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. Very important. This can also be asked in a multiple choice. How many amendments took place in the draft? 2,000, 3,000, 2,500 or 1,000. So if you know the correct answer, then you can click on that option. The members deliberated, that means discussions were held for 114 days spread over 3 years. Underline. All these details are very important, not only from MCQ question point of view, but for any type of question. These are very important things which often are asked in the exam, whether it is short answer or very short answer, or even in long questions, such detail can be used many a times. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. When printed, these debates are 12 bulky volumes. Underline this also. These debates provide the rationale behind every provision of the Constitution. These are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution. Now come to the next paragraph, the next heading, that is guiding values of the Indian Constitution. In this, children, come to the next page. On the next page, the first line in the paragraph is not the first line. The third line in the paragraph is important. Dr. Ambedkar played a key role in the making of the Constitution. You must remember this. Then come to page number 51. On page number 51, there are many things. I can say the whole page has to be learnt. The whole page has to be learnt. Everything is very important. It tells us what is written in the preamble to the Constitution. First, I am reading some important things. Then I will read what is written on the sides of page 51. Let us read the preamble of our Constitution very carefully and understand the meaning of each of its key words. The preamble of the Constitution reads like a poem on democracy. It contains the philosophy on which the entire Constitution has been built. It provides a standard to examine and evaluate any law and action of the government. It is the soul of the Indian Constitution. Now I am reading the preamble, then we will take up the keywords. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Now let us see some keywords, what they mean. We the people of India. The constitution has been drawn up and enacted by the people through their representatives. We the people. Why they are saying we the people? Because it is we, the citizens of the country, who have chosen our representatives and not handed down to them by any king or outside power. The country is not run, the government is not running the country as a matter of hereditary form of government. No, the government is not hereditary at all. It is a democratic form of government, and we are the people of the country who have elected the representatives. They are running the country. Sovereign. People have supreme right to make decisions on external as well as internal matters. No external power can dictate the government of India. So that is why we are sovereign. We are free to decide things internally and externally, and no outside power can dictate terms. Then socialist. Wealth is generated socially. All people in the society are responsible for the economic growth of the country, to contribute to the wealth of the country, and should be shared equally by the society. Government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. That means in earlier days, when the British was ruling our country, there was zamindari system. Then the zamindars used to oppress the poor landowners. The peasants used to work on the lands, and they were leading a miserable society. Such kind of a system is no more in existence. The distribution of land is equal, the wealth is equally distributed, and everybody in this country, all citizens in the country, have equal share in the development of the country. That is why the word socialist has been used. Secular, very important. Citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion, but there is no official religion. Government treats all religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. That is why we are called a secular country. Democratic, a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers, and hold them accountable. The government is run according to some basic rules. We are a democratic country. The government is elected by the people, and the people enjoy political rights. I have told you earlier also, political rights means right to vote. All citizens who are 18 years of age or above have this political right or the right to vote. They elect their leaders, and the government is accountable to the people. Then republic. The head of the state is an elected person, and it is not a hereditary position. I have given you the definition of republic also. So you must remember that republic means that the head of the state. Here state does not mean Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. It is used for the country. The head of the state is an elected person. We have chosen the head, and it is not a hereditary position. Then justice. Citizens cannot be discriminated on grounds of caste, religion, or gender. Social inequalities have to be reduced. Government should work for the welfare of all, especially the disadvantaged groups. So justice, equal justice, fair justice should be imparted to one and all, irrespective of caste, religion, gender, or creed. Especially the government is doing a lot for the welfare of the oppressed classes or the disadvantaged group of the society who have been alienated from times immemorial. Then liberty. Liberty means freedom. There are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. That means we are free to think the way we like. We are free to express our opinions the way we want to. We can act accordingly. We can speak whatever we want to speak. So we are living in a liberal country, a free country. Equality. All are equal before law. The traditional social inequalities have to be ended. Government should ensure equal opportunity for all. Equality is a very important aspect in a democratic country. Everybody is treated equally, everybody is given equal opportunities, whether it is getting admission in schools and colleges, getting jobs, any kind of equality you name, and that has been ensured in a constitution. Fraternity. All of us should behave as if we are the members of the same family, like brothers and sisters. Fraternity refers to brotherhood. We should have the spirit of brotherhood among ourselves. No one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior. Everybody is equal, everybody is like brothers and sisters, nobody is superior or inferior. Institutional design. A constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. As we noted above, a constitution is mainly about embodying these values into institutional arrangements. Much of the document called Constitution of India is about these arrangements. This you just have to read, children. There's nothing to learn in these lines as such. Then, here some important keywords are given, written in red ink. Those also you should know because they can also be framed in multiple choice, like apartheid, clause, constituent assembly, constitution, constitutional amendment, draft, philosophy, preamble, treason, and tryst. They can be framed. I am giving you one example. Take apartheid. What is the meaning? Let us see. The official policy of racial separation and ill treatment of blacks. Now a question can be formed like this. The official policy of racial separation and ill treatment of blacks was called option A, apartheid, option B can be something else, option C something else, option D something else. So if you know this term that it was called as apartheid, it was followed in South Africa, then you will mark option A as the correct option. Okay, so go through things, see the PDF, keep completing your written work as you have been doing till now. That work will go on, that will not stop. If you have written all the answers which I am sending the PDF earlier, suppose you have written, if some answers are common, then you don't have to rewrite obviously. But if many things are different, then please rewrite everything very neatly in fair copies. You have been doing already. But for the upcoming exams, focus on MCQ only. Focus on reading of the lessons thoroughly. Don't start learning the lengthy answers just now. It will waste your time. Okay, so only detailed and thorough reading of the chapters is essential. See the practice questions which I am sending and follow that pattern because it will give you a practice